Hello everyone. All right, I'm going to share out this link and we're going to see what happens here. Should be interesting. All right. Some significant lows are about to get taken. I'm going to try to kind of narrate what I'm thinking here. Got a bunch of tabs open. Obviously, everything is breaking down and could go down a lot further. If Bitcoin loses this low, it could move down to this 50K low quite quickly. And frankly, if it loses that low, we could see it move into the 42K region fairly quickly. So prepared for those various events. I think even if we bounce from here, just need to be wary of just continuation. Same goes with the bounce from 50K. I will note that this becomes our GP, which looks quite clean. If we bounce from the 50K sweep, a retest of that would look nasty on the chart, especially if we do end up hitting the harmonic target here. But yeah, there's a lot of vaults here. Matic is about to take this low, but need to see. I mean, you know, obviously if Bitcoin bounces from this low, this setup wouldn't look so bad on Matic. Bailed on some alt setups already. Here I entered in initially on this XRP long, but I just got out of it because there were a lot of longs coming in. Oh, fucking wrong screen. Well, I'll go back to order flow here. There were a lot of longs coming in on Bitcoin here at the lows and probably just going to get smoked. And was pointing that out in the Discord throughout the day. Just all day in order flow. Up higher. We had 17K in longs open. Just pointing out, giving that update because it has not been going well for those aggressive longs. And now another 5.3K, another 6K. So all throughout the day, just even when we wiped out the initial longs, immediately after, just tons of more longs opening. So probably means lower. And so here we are. We'll keep an eye on order flow as we take this low likely. But this is up here, right? So we had this initial reaction, just tons of longs piling in here, getting absorbed. Then even after this initial lows taken, it's hard to see here, but there was like 40 million delta wick. And then if on the 1 minute chart, you can just see way mini longs opening. So just lower was likely. And that's why I bailed on the that XRP long up here as well. Just even though price was actually just above my entry, just seeing all those longs open, Bitcoin's going lower, lots of things just look like the bottom could drop out. FTM, no structure here, breaking down. So we could have this big liquidation event here that we could see very quick moves to the downside on lots of alts. So I'm prepared for the possibility of that. Got to choose my battles here. But there's some levels down like at $14 on INJ that I'm quite interested in. I mean, there's this level too on Pepe I've been interested in. But we'll see. We'll see here. But yeah, I mean, if it seems this is about 26% away. If we did have this big liquidation, I mean, I think the most dramatic. Yeah, I mean, it would be crazy if FTM actually hit that final target in like a liquidation candle. I mean, this low doesn't look so crazy, but I guess if Bitcoin goes down 25%, this definitely isn't out of the question. By the way, when I was pointing this out on FTM, the idea of projecting here into these lows again, literally just being called crazy. But it could happen in a couple days at this rate if all this breaks down. It is late for me. It's not the ideal time for this to be happening. But here we are. We'll see what happens. I mean, if we bounce from this low, we could bounce and end up spending some time up here and nothing too crazy happening. There are some I think I got to go to like the 1 hour chart to see all these clusters. There's a little cluster here of lows. Just when we impulsed up to 57K, the 786, the time is right there. Probably worth having on the chart. So, yeah, I guess it goes without saying that whatever happens, let's just say, for example, Bitcoin takes these lows and bounces, or we see a big liquidation into this 50K level. I mean, more or less, everything is going to rebound together, right? So, like if it just so happened that we did have this big breakdown into this 50K level, wouldn't be surprised to see that coincide with a lot of major levels being hit on various alts. Hopefully everybody in the LATF has those really deep levels marked out on their charts. I've shared them quite a few times. Just whenever price, it's like levels like this on INJ. I even shared it up here when we were breaking this down. Just, price can just move through these areas of the chart very quickly, and you can end up, it's kind of like wicks like this, right? Where you wick down, this is a daily candle, 25, 30, 40%, take the level and rebound all within the same day. So we'll see what happens here. But like if we bounce from here, we just see a ton of volume, and then price rebounding. Might take that long trade, cut it if we start breaking down again. But it might coincide with some nice levels on various alts like Mexc as well. But you can only trade so many things at once. I'm kind of interested in keeping an eye on XRP here. It has all these big wicks, but might have to just catch a higher low another day. It's just very very wicky on these breakdowns here. I was waiting for these lows to get taken, but yeah, obviously bailing on that seemed to be the right move. Yeah, so, for whatever reason, maybe no rhyme or reason, just some very aggressive longing coming in here. Like this has been, it got very bearish here very quickly with all those aggressive longs coming in, getting absorbed. It's kind of interesting. Just that there was that kind of very clear bearish order flow signal, because you haven't really had, I mean, you really just haven't had a lot of aggressive longing. That quickly. So I guess I want to talk a little bit about this quickly. Is this harmonic target is a high time frame target. There's some trend line confluence potentially here. I mean, it's a lot further away if you want to take it like this. But price can do a lot of things between the C and the D. That harmonic is still valid, but I definitely want to be aware of it, because that's a major idea for a major low. And with this 886 rejection here, that harmonic started looking, I guess, very clean as more and more weakness just forms here. So I'm I'm optimistic about this level getting hit. And we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Now, I did start this live stream before this level got tested, assuming that it will soon. Always possible that it doesn't. I'm probably just not up to trade anything until it does. Let's see what happens here. You know, we could have quite a bit of volatility. Now, if you're a new trader, this is not the time to be trading with live funds and learning about risk management and how to position and how to utilize stop losses with live funds. Pull up a paper trading account and practice there. I'm happy to be live here and share what I'm doing, but goddamn, I can get my ass kicked too, and I just may. Tesla's paying the bills right now with this long setup on Tesla, and I want to keep an eye on Tesla today because it's approaching a major short target up above. So have a long from down here. Obviously been super strong. This is about 90% from the low. Oh yeah, that's right. It's July 4th. No stock. That's kind of interesting. It's a holiday, so kind of adds another dynamic here. Yeah, I guess we're I also only have one monitor up right now, so I'm kind of loosely looking at chat. Link is also coming down to a major level. All these lows. Obviously drew this out a while ago as an example of what PA could look like, but come and take all these wicks into the GP. I did trade back in April. But yeah, there's probably just going to be too much to see. This is what this is kind of reminds me of like when I did the all-time high live streams, where I got live when price was like you know, how far are we here? 0.5% away. It's almost the same. I think it was 0.43% away. I got live right before price was going to tag the all-time high, and then we sit there for 2 hours, nothing happens. And it was right here. This is where I got live. All-time high was, you know, 69K. We need to go up like 0.4%. We just hovered here, started breaking down. Actually ended up taking a long there. We took the all-time highs. I did get live for that. We took profits. We flipped short and took profits on that short too early, and then we nuked into all these lows. But yeah, so I'd like to be live when this gets taken, but you know, we could end up just front running this low and doing something similar, having a significant retracement, come and take it tomorrow, or just chop sideways for the weekend, come and take it next week. It seemed like an okay bet though to get live now, so because there's also the possibility this level just goes right, and it's kind of fun to be live for those events. But hey, if it's not going to get taken, we're not going to spend the whole night live here. So a bit of a short squeeze coming in. Nothing too major on BTC USD, but on USDT, you know, this is something that can happen at right at front running major lows. You can have some very aggressive shorts opening into those lows, or some shorts that came down along the way and they trail their stops aggressively. Maybe they keep adding, and then you just see these impulses, and you see, you know, a 557 Bitcoin short squeeze here, as you presumably have a lot of aggressive shorts trailing very aggressively, getting run, and then, you know, you can maybe see some continuation. Nothing too crazy happening here. BTC USD. Earlier we saw the very aggressive longs just getting continuously absorbed. 17.8 million. Just very bearish. Followed by 5.3, 4 million, 6.6. All getting absorbed. This price just grinds down. It's not hard to tell that somebody is as I said in the Discord earlier, someone is trying to send Bitcoin to Goblin Town. You can see that here. 17.8, 5.3, 4 million. Said another 4 million in case anyone cares. Another 5.3. And so, anyways, that's been some very aggressive longs coming in on this local downtrend here. Getting absorbed, looking quite bearish. You're just seeing all that selling pressure coming in right at the lows, the limit selling pressure holding down price into aggressive buying. For me, these little reactions, just not interesting at all. Not chasing anything here. I mean, you know, I understand price can do a lot of things, but did Matic just double bottom this low? Exactly. Yeah, so Matic here as well. Slight front run of this low. Probably took it on some futures. But yeah, I mean, you can just kind of see there are quite a few alts here front running some levels, and you know, we could spend the weekend ranging, come and run all these levels. So might be a short live stream. In fact, probably the biggest, the most consistent hit rate might just be if price is about to break out of a major high or major low, like 0.43% there on, and this happened quite a few times on Bitcoin, and I wanted to be live for it as price tested that liquidity and maybe set up some short targets or what have you. Just expecting the counter move, 0.3 or 0.4% away from the move. Take the long, scalp it, because it's pretty consistent. As soon as I get long, the level that I'm looking to see broken down and start the live stream for is front run. So that might happen here. It's just a fine balance, because you start it too late and price has gone like this and straight back up, or you start it too early and you end up just twiddling your thumbs for 30, 45 minutes, calling it quits. If some of you were on my live stream yesterday, I did just point out the significance of these low time frame trend lines, and ended up being a relatively clean rejection here. It's not perfect, but at the time I was kind of interested in, if we saw a nice run up out of here, taking a short, especially, I think this is what I mentioned on the live stream, especially if we could, that'd be the most aggressive short, run up and tap this at the trend line. It was also the range POC. I think still probably just a relevant level, because it's our point of control, a relevant local level on any rally. At the time aligned with our, it's just pulled from the low there. But the time we had some GP confluence. Oh no, this was the GP confluence from this low, if we rallied from there. But anyways, we're holding this trend line for now. So this is kind of our local downtrend. I think retesting these lows, taking these highs, probably going to remain a relevant potential short setup within the context of this range. But we'll deal with that level when it gets here. Could probably just argue that this trend line's important too. Yeah, gonna have to I think it's really hard to, like, if there's just a clean trigger on Bitcoin, like we see this and we just see hundreds of millions of volume come in and price just reclaims the level, I think it's tradable. Cut the risk really quickly, see what happens, start watching for all this stuff. But and whatever alt you're looking at trading, you know, have those pull up as well, expecting everything to react together. I think that obviously the cleanest kind of way to fade a long setup here is just there's no reaction, right? Price just rips through the level. Doesn't give us any kind of reason to take along there. But I think it'd be pretty hard if we just saw like a massive volume delta dump not to try the long on the recovery here. You can play your risk tight. Doesn't mean you have to have your sizing as tight as you can. Setups like this, if you want to trade them wide and take a stab at the level up into something like a retest here. If price doesn't have strong continuation, you start breaking down the level again, you just close it. Don't have to take a full stop. I might trade a little tighter, but that's one thing that people just seem to have such a hard time with. Is like, I'm just going to give a hypothetical setup here. I don't know why it's so hard, because it makes so much sense. So let's just go through different scenarios. Just going to answer a couple questions for some people that I get quite a bit. I'm going to turn off this bat harmonic folder here. So we have setups like this, right, where price runs the level. You can see this on the daily chart. Price runs the level and is rebounded in that same daily candle, and by the next day, like even on the low time frames, the entire move, right? 15, 20%. So clearly, price can run the liquidity into a level and essentially have a straight up reversal, right? There's no price goes above and then it kind of retests and whatever. And you can trade setups like that. I wasn't awake for this, and I know some Discord members did take this, but it's like this, right? Price runs into the low and just rebounds straight back up. Well, so here's the thing about setups like this. This is a good example as well. You can just take that trade with the condition being strong continuation. So like sometimes I'll take a trade and I'll say, hey, I'm going to take a long here. And this setup, so I'm going to give a hypothetical setup here. So let's just say that it's this. Let's just say we're looking at this low, and I'm going to take a long on the reclaim for strong continuation. So let's just say there's a super aggressive wick down to there. Price is rebounding. It's essentially a setup like this, right? And you just want price to continue up above the level. And I'm going to cut if it doesn't. But then you post the setup like this, and this is, I've made a lot of videos on this, and people just don't seem to understand this concept. This is to indicate the sizing. But if you don't have strong continuation, you can just cut the trade, right? Cut it at entry, cut it right below entry. But what this is indicating, so somebody would say like, oh, your stop hasn't been hit yet, but this is your sizing. Because if I size it like this, I might want to enter in with reasonable size. I get a nice reasonable position, but that doesn't mean I want to risk an entire stop loss like this. If 0.25% or 0.3% lower comes through this level, I might be willing to cut a much wider position that way. But, the level doesn't reclaim and it starts breaking down or retesting to resistance. But you can have a condition on a trade, and you can get into those moves quite, I would say, just safely, in terms of you get really nice size relative to the setup, and you can cut it pretty reliably at a slight loss, or even pretty close to break even, if you just have the condition on some of those quick moves of price just needs to rebound, or in this case, right, reject and just carry through with a lot of momentum. And if it doesn't, you just cut it. But that doesn't mean, like, for example, on this setup, like, let's say you trade this like this, just as an example, you're trading this like this back up into all-time highs, whatever the setup is. That's a nice setup, but that's how you're sized. So this is your 1% risk, and I definitely don't want to get into having to explain how to size a position. Like, if you can't do this math, there's nothing wrong with that, but you've got a lot to learn. But you can just, if you don't have the strong momentum and continuation, you can just cut the position. You know, you get a reaction, the price runs up through the level, starts flipping it back into resistance, just cut it. I don't think that's that complicated. What that does is it allows you to get into essentially a 6R setup, but your risk really isn't 6R, right? You're positioned for something like a 6R setup in that example, but you're really risking a fraction of a stop loss. Because you have that condition of price carrying, holding and carrying through a level. And you're sized appropriately so that you can just cut it if the position or if price is not behaving. But anyways, for some reason, and so that's, you know, I might do something like that here. If we get that quick, like high volume wick, but it's just, there's just something, you know, like this is just grinding down into the level. We don't know what's under here for sure. I mean, I would imagine there's some significant number of stops, but we don't know until we get there what order flow is going to look like. I've no trouble believing it's going to be tradable. This is a GP from this pivot. Come and tag all these lows. I mean, I would say that even if we get a nice reaction there, I don't know, it's not hard to just assume we're going to this 50K level, but we'll see. It'll come up, retest this descending trend line. I think there is a, well, you can draw a predictive channel from anywhere. Could have something like that. Yo, Go Sam, send me a DM. Wink, wink. Someone asking if I can check whiff. Frankly, whiff was whiff was an example of that. Whiff was an example of that exact condition of a trade. I had a trade set up taking this weekly candle low and reclaiming it, and that was here. So we wicked through this low and we reclaimed it, and I ran a wide stop. I think it was in this region, and you know, targeting just to hold this as a range, but stop about 7 or 8% away. So smaller size relative to some positions. But the idea just being that if we could hold the breakout here, because we had 2 breakouts, but we had a descending, you know, this was actually we'll get into the nitty gritty here. This was actually a descending channel, I believe. So with this descending channel into the low, broke out of it, started reclaiming it. I just said if long here for whatever the exact wording was, if we can hold this and looking for strong follow through, strong momentum off this level, you have a lot of opportunities just to be like, we're not we're not holding this level, right? We rebounded above it. This had the potential here to look like we could get that strong move through that weekly candle low way down here, and maybe rebound for a nice recovery. But you know, you're sitting here for 12 hours, price just flipping the level back into resistance. Just get out. But the funny thing is, this is the only thing that's funny about it, because I was getting harassed by somebody in the DMs for that trade, is 5 minutes before I took this trade, I gave 3 examples of, there's so many setups where you can just size them wide. They're still like great. You get great size relative to something like this, a big range on whiff. And you can just cut them at break even. Like there's certain setups where you have so many opportunities just to close that trade at break even. And I gave 5 examples. This is in the members Discord. I made a video about it and said, just, you know, if the level's not holding, the idea is to reclaim the level and the level's getting flipped, just close it. Close it at break even. Just say the trade's not, you know, working. But I don't know. It's just funny. It's like, well, if you don't want to take a stop loss on a position and the condition is to hold it, just close the position. He was mad because whiff went lower. What can you do? There was a 30-day downtrend. I waited so patiently. We finally took that weekly candle low. You know, it looks okay on that weekly chart. Coming and sweeping all these lows. Kind of retesting them now in some sense. And breaking out of that descending channel. Looks like it's worth a try. And if you don't want to take the stop, just close it. Clearly, the level's just flipping back into resistance. You know, somebody asking about whiff, trading at the GP now of the local move, coming back, testing that weekly candle low. It's kind of a bit of a level. I mean, a bit of a region that's forming here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Horizontal structure of this move is flipping to resistance. So, you know, if you're not reclaiming this, it's kind of hard to be too bullish. Price has to get back above some of this structure and reclaim it. I mean, even now, this sort of looks nasty on the lower time frames. This just looks like this grinding sort of, like it wants to just impulse lower. You know, price just chopping around here, grinding. And no structure here. So, yeah, my thoughts would be that whiff probably going lower with everything else, maybe come retest these lows. Looks a little better if it can break out of this and start reclaiming these levels. And then you kind of have some version of a sweep of all these lows right here, and then just coming and retesting the level into the GP. And probably if I was interested in trading whiff, and that was a chart I was looking at here, probably would be the type of setup I'd be looking for. You kind of have this retest and you have your local lows. This is the daily chart, but you have your daily candle lows, but you also have your lower time frame pivots here. But yeah, it wouldn't look so bad if you could reclaim that. Maybe get a local TP, maybe try to carry some of it in the context of this broader range, because, well, the thesis of this setup at the very least would just be, this is a range. We swept the range, we reclaimed the range, and we're retesting the range. But for now, locally, this just looks kind of bearish until we can break some of this up. Of course, this can happen too. I shouldn't have to explain that, but you know, you reclaim this, retest all these daily candles, take these local highs, fake it out. A little bit of we'll sit here for a little bit longer. It is late for me. Again, it was just kind of getting live for the eventuality of these lows getting taken. It looked a lot more inevitable to be soon. But Gerard's already moved to a new place in the office, so I feel sad closing it. No, I'm not gonna drink coffee at 11 p.m. to stay up here. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised to see the level taken. But I'm not going to be surprised just to see this happen, right? I mean, the thing is, you could stay up all night here and be like, I'm going to stay up all night to catch this move. 8 hours go by, the sun's coming up, and you say, God damn, I just need to sleep. If you're so convinced that it's going to come right away, well, just short here then. You've got your setup. I'm not so convinced. I've just seen it too many times. Like the all-time high example, right? Price just goes right before the level, starts chopping people up. It's not about being bored. It's about being tired. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and nothing's happening, right? And unfortunately, the move could come while I'm asleep. But again, I think I made this exact same. I think this exact same joke. Or comment in the Discord. I guess it's not really a joke. But where was it? I'm not sure exactly. It was somewhere in here where somebody was just saying to stay up in the Discord. And I just drew out basically that exact thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to stay up all night. And then drew 8 hours sideways, and then the move comes. And that's exactly what happened. I went to sleep. I woke up almost, I think, like 8.5 hours later. Price had just gone straight sideways, and then the move came. So, you know, in some ways, it's just as likely to happen when I wake up tomorrow as it is if I stay up all night. So, yeah, I think I might end the stream. I know that's maybe disappointing for some of you, but I literally was. You can't blame me too much. I literally was getting live here for the possibility of this low getting taken, right? I mean, I think I opened the stream right at the bottom there. Seemed like a good try. Because I wouldn't mind being live if we get a move through this, especially if we start just seeing like just a lot of weakness, a breakdown, retest, aggressive longs getting absorbed, something similar to here. I kind of live narrated that in the Discord today, where we had these really aggressive longs just piling in, getting absorbed, forming a very clear downtrend here. grinding down, just absorbing really aggressive longs. And, you know, maybe what happens is this level kind of looks interesting. And there's these little wicks down here. But then we just start seeing all these longs pile in. And that gets quite bearish quite quickly on the retest. So it'd be interesting, I think, to kind of review some of that live. But anyways, like I said, I think I'm going to wrap it up because this low is just as likely to come at this point tomorrow as it is anytime soon. This could happen 15 minutes. If it happens in 15 minutes, hey, maybe I'll get back live. But, you know, we're going into weekend range mode at this point potentially. So. Yeah, we can look at order flow before I go. We'll start with BTC USD. You know, nothing too crazy happening here. A little bit of selling getting absorbed here. It makes sense as price is rallying. A little bit of aggressive selling. But, you know, compared to earlier where there were a lot of aggressive longs piling in here. Again, you know, whatever was happening here was intriguing to some pretty big aggressive long positions, but very clear signs of absorption there. You can just see, you know, forming a big bearish divergence here on BTC USD. Nothing too crazy. We had the big wipe. This was like 45 million delta on the 1 minute candle, 100 million volume, bunch more longs piled in. A lot of those are washed out now, and here nothing really aggressive happening. Guess it is a holiday, so could be the reason. BTC USDT, short squeeze, some aggressive longs, more shorts getting squeezed, some aggressive shorts opening, some longs getting stopped out. You know, the order flow here is pretty similar to BTC USD. I would say with a little bit more relevant volume, but like the makeup of it is the same. Had some aggressive longs opening. Well, mostly shorts getting squeezed in this case. Nothing similar here. But yeah, here it's kind of neutral. Nothing crazy happening at the lows. Short squeeze. You know, this is kind of going into sort of choppy, potential choppy ranging territory here. As people try to, some people are going to be waiting for that low. Maybe try to chase the long higher. Get round tripped. Some shorts are going to be trying to short into that low, get squeezed out, then chase the move back down, maybe get squeezed out again, so on and so forth. But you know, the cool thing about front running this low is it kind of makes the some more aggressive short setups more interesting. Like I think this was just shortable with order flow. You know, targeting these lows, although you do need to start to get wary of those highs getting run now, right? Because a lot of those longs are gone. So, you know, they've already been targeted. But because this low has been front run, if there are some kind of liquidity grab type moves, you know, come up, retest this trend line, take some local highs. This might be okay scalps down back into these lows because they've been front run. You know, something like a 6R scalp. Could even try to tighten it up a little bit. But yeah. But expecting there to be, you'd expect there to be lots of breakdown shorts, lots of heavy selling into these local lows. Although, you know, at the same time, you know, yes, liquidations, those sort of things. A lot of these longs are going to be closed already, so maybe there won't be so much. We'll see. Maybe some more aggressive shorting into the level. Oh yeah, yeah. I was Will of D in Europe, and the daily close is not fun. Same thing for me at 2 a.m. It's not a good session there. Sorry, Kyson, you're too late. The live stream's about to end. The good thing is also if I end it, something will happen. That's sort of the ongoing joke. I could sit live for 3 hours here and nothing will happen. Price will just start ranging in the 0.3% range. As soon as I start it, that happens. As soon as I end it, the move happens. So